Today, we are actually going to talk about all things construction.
Everybody has a budget. I don't care if you're spending $30 million on a house or $100,000, you gotta have a budget.
Not just your design and your excellence of work, but you as people are top notch.
We're built to serve, and that's what we want people to understand is, hey, for me, relationships are everything. I mean, it starts with our faith, and I want to be able to serve our clients the way Christ has served other people.
This is the Unleash Your Purpose podcast.
Today, we are actually going to talk about all things construction, and I am with Slade. I have a beautiful house, and I have a beautiful house because of you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
What's your guys' process if you're working with a client like me?
Yeah.
Which is unique in itself, but.
Well, I'll take you for instance, because you guys were perfect. I mean, and most of the houses that are left out in the market, that's why I feel like we know where the market is now. And a lot of the homes that are left out there, are from the 90s or 2000. And, it's a good price, although our real estate is up right now. You know what the housing market's doing.
Yeah.
But anyways, they say, hey, I need a whole house renovation. I need it updated. And we're able to come in and really understand what their vision is, what their style is, and everybody's got to work within a budget, right? Yeah. Everybody has a budget. I don't care if you're spending $30 million on a house or $100,000, you got to have a budget. And I know that we worked hard to try and stick within that budget. Yep. And there were some challenges, and there were some things that you needed to do right away because you had to move your family. And I would say with you, that was probably our biggest challenge, was trying to get it done as quickly as we can because you had this big family and you had to get moved in.
Because I remember we had to move in for spring break. We had the licensing for foster care.
That was the big thing. And we had to get in and get it done so they can come out and inspect it, remember?
Right.
To say that it's ready to live in.
I mean, you go above and beyond. If you don't realize. So I had a koi pond at my old house.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the koi.
And he's like, can you just let these koi go in a little lake? And I said, no. Sir, watch your mouth.
That's right.
But you ended up finding a guy who was a friend of yours that built a temporary pool.
Yeah.
Right
on the side of your garage.
Yes, on the side. Got the filtration. Yeah. Then because we were having our foster license, you built a 5-foot fence around it.
I had to build a fence around it because they considered it a pool.
Yes.
Yeah.
But those beauties were, they're as happy as can be.
Wow, that's good. I saw your dog was actually swimming with them the other day.
And that is available for adoption. It was a marketing ploy. So when you leave today, you can pick them up on your way out.
Yeah.
So you got your... you started Trinity Custom Homes.
Yep. Trinity Homes AZ.
Trinity Homes AD.
Yep.
AZ. And then you guys do upscale renovate. Tell me about your business. How did you get started, get passionate about it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in 2004, my wife and I started the company. I've been in construction my whole life. I mean, I did asphalt in high school, went into operating equipment. I've always had that knack for just working with my hands. Even as a young boy, I started my own lawn mowing business back in the day. So I've always had that kind of entrepreneur, but went into construction, straight in construction. And I was working for a log home builder that did everything in Arizona, Colorado, northern New Mexico. So I traveled a lot, and we were living up in Payson at the time.
Oh, okay.
In 2003, the Lord allowed a tragedy to happen in our life, and our 18-month-old son choked on a toy and died.
Oh my
goodness. So it was at that time that we're young, and we're young in our faith. I accepted Christ at 16, and then about 25, I really understood what it was like to start walking with the Lord and having a relationship with Him. So I was a young believer, and God allowed this tragedy to happen in our life. So I looked at my life and I was like, man, the Lord, I don't want to be traveling. And my wife and I started praying, hey, we just pray that you would bring us something that can keep me at home. And God opened the doors to some people in Payson that wanted me to build their houses. And my wife and I took a leap of faith and said, hey, let's just start our own company.
Wow.
And in 2004, we started Trinity Homes, and It was at that time that we started building custom homes. And,
Yeah.
you know, as well as everybody, in 2008, the crash happened. You know, it gets turned upside down. I turned our company into like a maintenance company and started getting some stimulus money. And long story short, you know, the economy turned back around, and we were living in Payson at the time. And then in 2012, God was just moving in me and Becky's heart to move back to Phoenix. You know, I'm a native. I was born and raised. I grew up in West Phoenix. So in 2012, my wife and I are on our knees, and it's like, okay, Lord, you know, where do you want to take us? And God moved us down here to Phoenix, and, you know, started the company basically all over. I mean, that's really what it is.
This is 2000.
This is 2012.
12. Okay.
So 2012, economy's starting to come back. You know, the housing market's starting to come back a little bit.
So you're shifting probably from a maintenance,
yes,
repairs of homes, which is the whole thing in of itself of business is learning to have to pivot when the market shifts.
It really is. And
it's exhausting.
It is so exhausting, and construction isn't easy anyways. So remodels start coming back, you know, not really the custom side of things or new builds. And so we started getting some traction in 2012, 2013, 14. And then pre-COVID, you know, the market was great in Phoenix, and things were going well. And then COVID hits, and it was like they lit us on fire. There was so much work for really any builder, any remodeler. And then the market started changing again, right? Housing cost of homes start going up.
Yeah.
Middle America, middle to upper middle income, it's really hard for them to be able to get that whole house renovation. They're buying the house at a high cost. We got inflation, we got skilled labor costs. I mean, just all those combinations make it hard. So what we had saw was, you know, we saw a trend of, you know, the luxury market is continuing to still go good. And I had always wanted to get back into building custom homes, like ground up customs. And I really love the luxury side. I love the high end, you know, side. And so over the past few years, we've just really tried to, you know, change our marketing and brand ourselves to be in, you know, in a high end custom builder. So we're a design build company. We have interior design. My wife actually does.
She is top notch.
Yeah, she does great.
She has got an eye.
Yeah. And so she really runs our in-house design team.
Yeah.
We work with other designers too, because obviously she can't keep up with everything, and she still, you know, is trying to be a mom. We've got our youngest who graduates from Scottsdale Christian this year. And so we're going to be empty nesters next year. So we're going to be in a new season. But anyway, she takes care of our design side. But we really concentrate on the whole home renovation, like the whole house, gut, tear it down.
So you guys a lot of times have people who have a lot, and they'll demo it, and then you'll build it up from ground up?
Yep, exactly. We don't do really just the kitchen onlys or the bathrooms only. That whole, like, let's just go in and change all the finishes, or like you're saying, let's just scrape it to the foundation and build new. That's your sweet spot? That's our sweet spot now.
Yeah. And like when we were actually interviewing other GCs and contractors, designers, like you, not just your design and your like excellence of work, but you as people are like top notch.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. You're a business owner. I'm a business owner, and trying to, you know, try and build that culture to where, you know, we're built to serve. And that's what we want people to understand is, hey, for me, relationships are everything. I mean, it starts with our faith. And I know when I lay down at night, who's going to pay the bills. I know what project is going to be coming next, because I know somebody's in charge of that, and somebody already knows what projects I'm going to have. And I want to be able to serve our clients well, the way Christ has served other people.
That's good. I watched as there were some, like, I mean, you're trying to do this renovation for us on a really quick timeline, which is already stressful.
Yeah.
I was moved in these kids, and I was on like my next level. Like this was like I had a mental breakdown during the kitchen remodel. I blame you.
Yeah.
Not the kids or my life choices, right? Let's do this all at once. I'm a blame shifter. A classic. Anyone else I can blame.
Everybody, you guys heard that. Okay?
Yeah, exactly. when in doubt, shift the blame.
Yeah.
That works really well. It's really a good leadership style.
Yeah.
Yeah, my goodness.
Yeah.
So I realized what I watched as you were leading your team.
Yeah.
One, your whole team is there to serve. And as you watch the leader, like you see that's like how you displayed yourself really kind of permeated through the whole organization.
Yeah.
Like your superintendents would go above and beyond. I mean, not just the koi pond, but everything else. And like, hey, we wanted to move our kitchen island.
Yeah.
I made them move that thing probably 3 or 4 times. I'm like, I got 9 kids. I can't fit through here.
It's not big
If
enough.
we gotta have a little more elbow room. I can't have them all up next to me.
Yeah.
And they're just like, yeah, whatever. Probably that's hard about custom homes is like the they're very picky.
Well, and the thing is, and people ask me all the time, other contractors are like, man, how are you still in residential? Because I mean,
yeah, commercial's different, right?
Commercial's different. It's all about the schedule. It's all about the costs, and we've got a timeline. Let's just stick to it. There isn't changes. You don't have emotions. And that's probably. But the way the way I look at it is, this is the most money that any owner is going to invest in their whole life. And this is where you do life. I mean, this is where you raise your kids.
100%.
You talk about the kitchen island, that's where you do life. I mean, everybody eats and you're breaking bread together. So I try and get our superintendents to understand, hey, listen, we can always work through it.
Yeah.
But as long as we have that spirit of service, listen, and at the end of the day, if somebody needs to say no, let me as the owner be the one to say no.
So your philosophy is that your people are there to serve.
Yes.
If it has to be a hard thing with the customer, it's going to be left for you.
It's going to come.
So you're going to have the hard conversation.
I'll have the hard conversation.
Yeah. And that's a good, for anyone in leadership, that is, if you could learn that piece, that as the leader, that's our responsibility.
It is.
To have the hard ones.
Yeah.
We can't delegate those decisions.
No,
and the
because
hard
as an
conversations.
owner, I think, at the end of the day, the owner is the one that really has to be able to say, listen, that I want to be able to give you what you want, but let's talk this through. And then if it is a no, it's a no. But a lot of times if there is conflict, if there is a change that isn't an easy change, and it always resorts back to how much it's going to cost, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we can do anything as long as you want to pay for it.
Right.
And I think that's where some of that, delicate conversation has to happen. And, an owner of the company to the homeowner, it's better to just have those face-to-face conversations.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you work with your wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got 6 kids together, 6 grandkids.
We got 6 kids, 6 grandkids.
Man, you are old.
I'm 52 and I'm like, what the heck? I'm like,
I know.
wow. But
yeah, exactly. My grandson was at my house yesterday. I'm like, this is too. It's the best. It is the best. But I also have a 2-year-old, so it's not the best.
No, that's quite the spread there. Yeah.
I know. I was thinking today, I'm like, when you're graduating high school, I'm going to be almost like 60 or late.
You're like, so depressing.
I know it is. So what were some of the, do you have any moments that you remember working with your wife, and how do you guys balance that out? You've been doing it since 2004. I'm sure some days are better than others.
Yeah. Some days, definitely are better than others. There was a time, I think, when it was probably around 2016 or 17 that my wife was doing a lot of design for us. Okay. And she was on a lot of projects. We were just trying to keep up with everything was moving at that time. And our marriage was struggling because of it, because we were both so involved in the projects and a lot going on, and we didn't know how to shut it off at home.
Yeah.
We'd be laying in bed together and it'd be like, oh, hey, what about so-and-so? Did you see that communication where they're changing the island or, whatever it is. Yeah. And then next thing you know, and then we wake up and have our coffee in the morning. And next thing you know, we're talking about it instead of really just praying together and talking about, family stuff. Yeah. So I think what we had learned through trial and error and also really good counseling.
Yeah.
I hear you talk about therapy all the time.
All the time.
And thank goodness the Lord gave people hearts to be counselors. Was just being able to, cut it off and shut it off when it is time to be just the husband and wife.
Yeah.
Because, you can go through life doing nothing but work, and then trying to fit in your family.
Right.
And that's not the way God intended it.
That's right.
Your family first. First we are God's children and we follow Christ. And then I am a husband to my wife, and my wife is, we are there to support and encourage one another. So when we get too much work going on, man, that just things get unbalanced.
Yes. I resonate with that a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like really trying to, like, when the stress level at home becomes so high. And then I know for us, Sarah and I, what my default is and what she feels is, I'm not your assistant. I'm not one of your employees.
Oh, yes.
And yes.
I've heard that.
You've heard that one before?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just want you, like, so now we all have this thing as like, do you want me, like, when she's sharing, I'm like, do you want me to, is this a conversation you want me to listen?
Yeah.
Do you want me to fix it?
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah.
Just listen.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
I'll just take my drink and I'll listen. And that's sometimes the best thing I can do.
That's all they want. I mean,
yeah.
At the end of the day, they do want to be, heard. And
yes. And
the biggest thing that my wife and I did was probably, I think it was right around 4 years ago, because 2017, 2018 was really a struggle for us. But we had, committed to taking 30 minutes together every morning and really just talking through what's going on with the kids, what's on our schedule.
The morning is tough.
It's so tough. And I'm, and each couple is going to be different, but it's the idea of carving out time, one, so you can just have FaceTime, and that's her time.
Yes. To
come to me and share those tough.
That's great.
Conversations, because when I get home at the end of the day, that's not the best time for her to say, "Hey, honey, there's an issue with one of the kids." Yeah. Because I'm wiped out. Wiped out. I've been putting out fires all day. Yeah. I've been
talking about work all day. I've been doing that. I've used all my words. I've used all my words.
So we made a commitment to take at least 30 minutes every morning, and then we always wrap it with a prayer. So we've been praying consistently now for four years every morning. And, we're not perfect. We'll miss here and there, but we're both committed to it. That's and it's been a game changer. Yeah.
Sarah and I, we tried to do it at night, and it's not, even last night was I was so stressed from work, and she knew it was just heavy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I even came home and I'm like, and she was out with the kids, and I was like, just so anxious and like, from work thing. And then she was feeling the worry too. Yeah. And then it's like 8:30 at night and I'm ready to go to bed. Yeah. Because that's when I should go to sleep.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right, hey, she's laying there, and she starts talking. I'm like, huh? She's like, I'm praying for you. I'm like, oh, okay. And I just fall asleep. Like, oh, wow. And then she wakes up this morning at like 4, and she's like, she's like, were you sleeping during my prayer? Yes, I was.
Like, yeah, you did. Thank you so much.
That way, right to bed. I appreciate it so much. Yeah, I needed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was. That's a good word, because you also have your son that is a part of your business, and he's growing in that.
He is. Yeah, I think when he was here with you guys, he was just kind of a.
Hey, fellow purpose-driven leaders.
I love that.
Loving what you're hearing.
The best thing is, and I think this is what a lot of business owners could learn,
so others
is that my dream is to have my
if you're finding value in our discussions
kids
about purpose,
help them launch their own businesses,
and family,
develop what they're passionate about in their own business, or
First
become
off, hit
part of
that
the family
subscribe
business.
button right now
but
to make
I
sure
always
you
tell
never
my
miss
kids
an
when they work
episode.
at our restaurant
By
or wherever,
subscribing,
no
you'll
one
get
should ever know
notified
you
every
are the
time we
owner's
release a
son.
new podcast packed with wisdom and
You
encouragement.
only are known
Next,
by
take
your
a
work
moment
ethic and
to
how
share this
hard you
episode
serve.
with your friends,
And I'm watching, and
family,
he's cleaning
and
up
followers.
garages boxes
whether
and
it's a
lugging
text message, a
toilets
post, or a
out.
shout out.
Like who
Your
is this guy
recommendation
sweating?
helps us
Sweating it out.
reach
Come to find out it
more
was your
people
kid.
who are seeking inspiration on their journey. And finally, if you've been enjoying our podcast, we'd be incredibly grateful.
That's a big
if
step.
you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your reviews not only motivate us to keep creating great content,
Was he more
but they
nervous or you
also
more
help
nervous?
others discover our show and join our purpose-driven
he's like,
community.
Dad, get out of my way. I got
let's
it.
keep the momentum going.
Do you check on him too
Subscribe,
much?
share, and review the Unleash Your Purpose podcast today and together.
That's
let's
good.
make a positive impact on the world, one listener at a time. Now let's dive back into today's episode.
There, you know, not all businesses are that way.
Yeah.
But I think it's much better that, you know, that he has a direct supervisor.
Did he always want to be part of your business, or how did that come to be?
Yeah, he's the one kid that always was just hands on.
Okay.
Like the one that wanted to help me in the backyard and do stuff in construction. You know, school, he finished, you know, high school, but he didn't like being confined in a classroom and just sitting and reading books was not his style. You know, he'd be wanting to hunt and fish and work out with Dad. So he's always been around a job site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a really proud day.
Yeah.
It's like the day that my boys want to like come part of the business.
Yeah.
That's like a legacy.
Yeah.
I know. I think it's a little strange, but and so your wife does design. What would you say are maybe you've been in business almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
And you've had to ebb and flow with the economy. And within business, I've noticed that some things are just out of your control.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And it's the economy or labor shortage. And it's just, those to me are the things that really test you as a leader.
Yeah.
And do you trust, like, where do you put your faith? But when you're scared and you got payroll to make, and then it bleeds into you're going to sleep at night thinking about, because at the end of the day, you got to make payroll.
Well, you have to make payroll. Man, I think for me that question's easily answered by just always going back to my faith. And I know it sounds cliche for maybe some of the people out there that don't really understand what it's like. But for me, it goes back to having faith, and it goes back to the economy is always going to change. Right. You're going to have turnover employees. You're going to have different homeowners with different, you know, emotions and different personalities. You're going to have, there's always going to be a political year. There's always going to be an election year every 4 years. But it's maintaining that consistency and being able to say, okay, we're going to get through this. We're going to stick with what we know and what we, you know, although I've seen the market change, you know, and I've seen different areas to be able to go out and make some money. Yeah. At the end of the day, I want to stick to my core values of who we are as a company. Yep. Who we are, what our culture is, and being able to go out and, you know, serve and as hard as it is, you know, being consistent with the quality that we put out, our cost, and you know, I think the biggest thing is just staying level-headed and not like just chase this fire and chase that fire. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I mean, you've had different businesses, and I know that you've had some that were really successful and some that were really challenging. Yeah. But I would think at the end of the day, you just got to be calm. Somebody has to be steering the ship the right way.
And I think, what I have always been, now I'm watching my own kids and who are young and 12, 13, and their emotions are starting to come out. And I would say emotions are a good like passenger, but not a good driver. Yeah. And I think for a lot of myself as a young leader and a young business owner, I let my emotions drive me. And when I'm frustrated with something happening with an employee or something was beyond my control, I let that control me. Yeah. And it dictated how I treated people around me. Yeah. And now I'm having to like, I don't know if it's just maybe I'm tired or I've gained a little wisdom or I've been had a little more battle wounds, but I'm like, this too shall pass. Yeah. That I cannot let this situation, one, ruin my day, but also a leader's words are like 500 pounds.
Mm.
Does that make sense? Like when I'm in a room with my team, and if I'm frustrated and I say something,
Yeah.
just because I'm the leader in that space and the boss, my words is like way more impactful than if I'm just off the cuff. So I'm almost have to be more mindful of the words I say.
Yeah. Isn't that hard sometimes?
I know, that's why I had a podcast. I'm like, I can say whatever the heck I want. 'Cause
man, it's so true. I mean, it really is. And I think that's probably, my wife tells me all the time, she's like, man, how do you remain so calm in these situations, and dealing with homeowners, which I'm super blessed. I truly have been blessed with some great owners that we've been able to serve, but their personalities and my personality don't always mesh. You know what I mean? And I don't know what's going on with their marriage. I don't know what's going on with their job. Right. So if they kind of go off, or they're just really, it's kind of a 911 to them, I don't know what they went through that day.
Yeah.
And I just,
they're blowing you up on text and things like that. And
just
like,
and it's like, okay. And I've learned this through counseling. Somebody's got to be the more mature person. Yeah. And let's just, this too shall pass, just like you said. So let's just remain calm.
Yeah.
Understand where they're coming from, because I get it. I understand, where homeowners are coming from, and I want to be able to serve them right. And if it means, hey, just take 24-hour period.
Yeah.
Don't hit send on that email.
Yes.
Don't respond to that email right now. Let's wait till tomorrow.
Even this morning, I had a hard email, and I wanted to just so I typed out a email that wasn't addressed to anyone, but I just needed to get it out. But I'm not going to send that.
Yeah.
Because that 24-hour rule of when you're angry and frustrated.
Yeah.
And I'm always teaching my staff is like, when your lid is flipped, when you're seeing red.
Yeah.
And your part of your brain is, you're not thinking out of the rational part of your brain. You're thinking out of the survival brain.
Yeah.
You just
and that's where you have your education, right?
Yeah.
So and you were educated.
The psychologists are always the craziest, right? Because we know enough.
That's actually what my daughter's going to Point Loma next year.
Okay.
And she's studying psychology.
Okay. Tell her not to. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. No. Yeah. It's because I have to learn to be able to not let that be my driver.
Yeah.
I know. It's a good passenger.
Yeah. That's a good passenger. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
How do you, within the years of decades of business, what's your relationship? I've been really curious, this relationship with fear.
Oh man.
Does that make sense?
Because
there is this, everyone glamorizes entrepreneurship and business ownership, but they don't see that when the financial crisis comes to the business is also at home.
Yeah.
How does that play a role?
Getting deep in me here. Getting deep. So fear looks a lot different to me now than it was 19 months ago. And I'll share a little backstory with you. I think the old Slade was driven by fear so much that I would stuff it and I would deny it and I would just ignore it. And it would cause me anxiety. Yeah. And it always would have to, I have a hard time shutting work off. I've worked my whole life. I said, I've been in construction forever. I grew up out, 115th Avenue in Southern. We had horses and cattle, and there was always something to do there. I was always building something. But, I was one of those guys that I looked at myself like, I'm a contractor, that's who I am. And I put my self-worth in that. And if I wasn't succeeding as a contractor and a business owner, then I was failing. Yeah. And then I was afraid to fail.
Yeah.
And so I had God allowed some stuff to happen in my life with business. When inflation hit,
Yeah.
And the cost of construction went up and the cost of materials went up, and my contracts didn't have a escalation clause in it. And I was stuck with a lot of things that I wasn't able to recoup on costs. I was driven by fear. And God showed me some stuff that I was drowning it with alcohol. And so, I'm getting ready to celebrate 19 months alcohol free.
Wow, man.
And that's because I realized that I was allowing fear to control me. And then I was self-medicating with alcohol instead of really just saying, okay, God, what would you have me do in this situation? Like, I want to fully trust you, and I'm trusting that you're going to get me through this.
Yeah.
And not just self-medicating, denying, stuffing, avoiding, and thinking, oh, it's just going to work out, without me doing the work of, okay, God, give me wisdom and insight and surround me with right people, surround me with other business owners that can help me walk through it, can help me, understand the changes I need to make to my contract. What do I need to look at in this, market with how it is changing? How should I change in our marketing and our branding?
Yeah.
All those questions that I'm able to really think through and process now, fear was crippling me.
Wow.
So
I think that is one of the most profound things that's been said on the show.
is it really?
Yeah. And I think people need to pause that
Yeah.
and rewind.
Yeah.
And let's do that again.
Yeah.
Because what you said is so human and not said enough.
Yeah. Well,
And how we will constantly try to mask and medicate because we have this picture of who we are. And we almost have I almost think of myself, I'm sitting in an arena and I have all these people around me that are telling me who I need to be. And I'm almost trying to be these people that they're telling me to be and what my worth is. And at the end of and if this fails, then I'm a failure.
Yeah.
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 And that's a long, long journey.
It is a long journey. And I think for men, because God has called us to be leaders.
Yep.
And we are responsible to take care of our family and lead our home. And, we are the providers to go out and, provide and make the money. Not to say that a husband and wife aren't working together in this, but, for men, they look at that and they think if I'm not good at this, then I'm not good at anything. And a lot of men can,
you find all your value in that.
All your value in that. And I think that's where I had, and I did. And it's still a struggle to this day, but I realized that God is the one that has given my wife and I Trinity Homes. God is the one that is going to provide us with all of our financial needs. And God's going to be the one that if he decides to close up shop on Trinity Homes, then God's going to provide for us another way.
Hey, fellow purpose-driven leaders. If you're loving what you're hearing, we need your help to keep spreading inspiration so others can unleash their purpose too. If you're finding value in our discussions about purpose, entrepreneurship, faith, and family, here's how you can support us. First off, hit that subscribe button right now to make sure you never miss an episode. By subscribing, you'll get notified every time we release a new podcast packed with wisdom and encouragement. Next, take a moment to share this episode with your friends, family, and followers. Whether it's a text message, a post, or a shout out, your recommendation helps us reach more people who are seeking inspiration on their journey. And finally, if you've been enjoying our podcast, we'd be incredibly grateful if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your reviews not only motivate us to keep creating great content, but they also help others discover our show and join our purpose-driven community. So let's keep the momentum going. Subscribe, share, and review the Unleash Your Purpose podcast today, and together, let's make a positive impact on the world, one listener at a time. Now let's dive back into today's episode.
When you say the hard part is it the hard that the fear creeps back in?
Yeah.
That where you want to try to grab a hold? Is it trying to not continue to medicate and use that as a default?
Yeah.
When do you notice that for yourself? Does it, like, people who have maybe an addiction, when does it, the grip start to get released a little bit?
Yeah.
When's that for you?
For me, it was just completely surrendering my feelings, my anxiety, and my fear to God first.
Yeah.
And then opening up with some close guys to me and my wife, because I didn't want anybody to know that I was dealing with this stuff. I didn't want anybody to know that, one, that I had an alcohol issue. I mean, I've been a Christ follower for 25 years.
Right.
I've been a deacon at churches. I've been in church leadership.
Yeah.
I mean, I lead other guys. Like,
Whoa.
wait a minute. Like, if I tell somebody that alcohol is something, and the thing was, God was telling me this over several years, like, hey,
it's like constant.
It is.
Everyone knows. Every one of us has the thing.
Yeah.
Everyone who's listening now has the thing.
Yeah.
It may not be alcohol, but it has the thing.
There's something.
I'm gonna keep
whether
it quiet.
It's alcohol, whether it's pornography, that's
it's my anger. It's whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's I've got to go to shop. We all have the thing.
I think, though, to answer your question, it was coming to the reality and seeing it for what it is, that this was separating me from God truly working in and through my life. It was truly being led by the Holy Spirit, like, because I knew the Holy Spirit was in me, but man, I was just missing that intimacy with God because of what this alcohol was doing. And it was causing me just to detach. Like, I drink, I was an IPA guy, and I just,
I need to chill out, and that's my way to veg, and I need to detach. I need to detach.
Yeah. That's exactly it. But you're not dealing with anything.
Yeah.
You're not dealing with
that issue. Now what do you do when you're stressed?
Well, one, get on my knees.
Okay.
But the thing is,
what do you do when you get home? Are you, like, for me, I love to go outside. I need to be by water. I like to listen. I got talk to my koi. I like my little son and I. He every day grabs my hand. He's a daddy fish.
Love it.
And that to me is like very good for my soul.
Yeah.
And then he goes, baby fish, and we go to the front yard and feed those.
Yeah.
And walk in the grass, play hoop with my boys.
Yeah.
Those are things that, like, yesterday I was so stressed out.
That's so cool.
And my boys are playing basketball. I'm like, all right, I didn't want to.
Yeah.
There's nothing me. I just want to sit and chill.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad I got off my butt and went and played basketball, because then, like, watching them laugh ended up putting me in a better mood too.
For sure.
And it's like, you got to choose, like for what you've probably had to find your thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what my thing is, but what I do enjoy more is time with my wife.
Yeah.
And then our grandson, Austin's son, Brixton. Man, he's 6 years old, and he goes to school over at Scottsdale Christian. So we live right by there. So he's over at our house. So a lot of times when I get home, he's there, which is super cool.
Yeah.
We've got a brand new puppy. Our daughter's going off to college, and she's our youngest. So I'm like, I need therapy dog.
Yeah.
We got a little fox red lab. So I'm playing with him.
Yeah.
The other thing that I really enjoy doing is I'm part of Celebrate Recovery. I don't know if you've heard of those.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So we have that at our church, at Illuminate Church. And so I got a couple of guys that I sponsor, and I have some other guys that I help through some stuff that also hold me accountable. Yeah. You know what I mean? I've got accountability partners in that.
You have to be leading someone else in your thing, and
for sure,
it really holds you to the next level.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm talking to my boys about not looking at porn.
Yeah.
And, hey, son, we don't have our phones in our bedroom. I better as heck not be looking at porn.
That's right.
As a husband, as a grown man, like, if you can give that information and preach it to your kids or people you're leading, and then do it yourself, and if you don't feel like you're a hypocrite, then there's some wires are crossed, and you got to do a deeper dive of yourself and look at the depth, because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You need to, like, walk the walk.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's for sure. And being able to help those guys, and those guys help me, It's a great community of believers and guys that are just broken. It's like, hey man, I don't care what people think of me. I want to get better, and this is where I'm at.
And the more I'm in that with the broken, I'm like, oh, I'm broken.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We all need this.
We are all.
And I'm actually better when I'm serving and helping someone else. I'm like, oh, this makes me better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen to that for sure.
So you have this successful business. You got 6 kids. You got 6 grandkids.
Yeah.
20. What a legacy, man.
Yeah. Wow.
Like, what do you like when you think of your life? What do you want your kids to remember you for? Your grandkids. What?
Yeah.
What is Slade?
I would say first, what I want people to remember me by is that I love the Lord.
Okay.
That I love my wife well, and that I really wanted to help others. I really do, because for me, my wife's everything, and she's my partner, and I'm so blessed to really have her. But at the end of the day, it's not about a business. It's not about, what you've done in your career. It's really about how have you helped others. I mean, that's
great.
It really is. And I know you a lot of the stuff that you do and how you help with the foster children and serving others. You understand that. Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I love to win in business.
Yeah.
I want to like make a good living.
Yeah.
And be able to have a life and give something on to my kids.
Yeah.
But if it's not doing well for others and serving others, it is pointless to me.
Yeah.
Like, do not bring me a business or an opportunity that is just not going to do well for the people that I'm in my life and are called to serve. And that's a really guiding kind of force for us.
Yeah, for sure.
And you guys, like, as we finish up, like, what's next for Trinity? Like, you guys have some of the best like social media.
Yeah,
you guys have some really freaking cool projects. I was looking at that backyard transformation that you're doing. Man, you're making me jealous, man. I feel like I need to do another renovation. You're like, Slade, hello.
Let's get Sarah in here. Hey, Sarah. Man, thanks. Really talking about the business, it's fun. I'm really having some fun. We got some great employees that are working for us. We've got a really fun project out in Chandler.
Cool.
We just finished the BMX pump track in the backyard.
Wow.
We've got an indoor-outdoor pool that's happening. We've got
indoor-outdoor pool?
Yeah. So it's this great big pool that goes from regular pool outside, but then it swims underneath this glass area and goes to the inside where you have the jacuzzi and his office right there. We've got some pickleball courts. He's talking about doing a koi pond now that we've got. I'll have to connect you guys.
Yeah.
But they're a great family. It's on 5 acres out in Chandler. It's a lot of fun. It really is. And then we've got some great projects, and primarily we're in Central Phoenix, Paradise Valley, Scottsdale, North Scottsdale. We are wanting to kind of spread out to the East Valley.
Sure.
But we'll see what God's got in store for that.
Well, for people that are looking at a remodel or a custom home, you are at the top of the list, and I have referred you countless times.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
It's not just what people will recognize, and it's not just the quality, which is beyond top tier.
Yeah, thanks.
But it's the people, and the people there, and you go above and beyond, and you really you do a good job. So
thanks.
Thanks for making the
check us out on Instagram.
Yeah, where do we go find out about you?
So trinityhomesaz.com, and we're on Facebook and Instagram, and recently to TikTok, believe it or not. And we've got a YouTube channel.
You really upped your social media game.
I've been taking after you, man.
Oh,
I see all the stuff you and Sarah are doing.
You are very welcome.
But yeah, Trinity Homes AZ.
So Trinity Homes AZ.
Yep.
It's in my favorites. I never miss a post. So
thanks, man.
So thanks for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me.
We'll have to come on location and check out your.
Hey,
your
I would
spot.
love for that to happen. We actually have if you follow along and you kind of go there, you'll see out at that Chandler house a peacock, which is our actual security. We have
Really?
a whole family of peacocks that are out there. So
Did you know
it's pretty cool.
We're building a ranch in Flagstaff, and my goal is to get a peacock.
I can get you a peacock.
Really?
I am 100% serious. They have babies every year.
Really?
I'm telling you.
Okay. Well, this
I
was
got
worth it. This was
is it.
worth it beyond.
You take payment in peacock babies.
Yes, I do. Absolutely. Well, you
Cool.
heard it first.
Yeah.
You'll see our peacocks this spring.
That's right.
Thanks, Slade. But
Yeah.
until next time, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow
For sure.
and subscribe to that newsletter. And may you unleash your purpose. You can profit in business, faith, and life.
Thanks for joining us for the Unleash Your Purpose podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. We'll see you next week.